Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We're really grateful to have you here today again. So without taking much of our time, we're going to go through what we have for today. So today we're going to be looking at working with JavaScript in R. So this is going to be like a walkthrough and a means of motivating ourselves to kind of take it easy and kind of just diving into JavaScript. So we're going to be having a 1 hour meetup on this because today we're going to be starting our kind of in-person meetup since COVID. So it's kind of a long journey. So I'm looking at, okay, taking just 1 hour for the online meetup, then the 1 hour to kind of see meet and greets for our local members here. So so the agenda for today, we're welcoming you all. Thank you for joining us. Then I'll introduce the organizers and I'll also introduce the speaker. So then the speaker will kind of go through what she has and then we'll take Q&A after the presentation. Then we end today's meetup. So this is Abuja, Our Lady is Abuja here in Nigeria. So the co-organizers of the meetup, the local organization here, it's me, starting with me, Bilikisu Olatunji. And we also have, I'm a data scientist and I run my own private consulting outfits, as Business Data Laboratory here in Abuja. So we also have Abiodo Egwenu. She's a field epidemiologist, AMR program manager with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control here in Abuja. And we also have Dr. Mabel Ajumobi. She's a deputy director and assistant chief vet officer with the Federal Ministry of Agric and Rural Development. So today I'm going to be the speaker. So I'm going to be sharing my experience learning R and also working with R in my project R OpenSci. So I hope I'll be able to motivate you to learn, take a deep dive into JavaScript with her. So I'm a data scientist based here in Abuja, Nigeria, and I'm also an R Shiny developer. So I will start the training session now. So I hope I'm able to share my knowledge with you.
Wow.
Sorry, kindly mute.
Thank you. I forgot to. You sent me the message this morning. Thank you. Let me just keep it already.
Okay, so thank you once again for joining us. So today we're going to be working with JavaScript in R. So the agenda will be, we're going to introduce to you what JavaScript is, hoping that we have so many novices here like me. So then we'll want to look at why we want to use JavaScript in R. So then we'll look at R, Shiny, JavaScript, then we'll look at a summary, then we'll take some questions and answer, and also contributions would actually be appreciated if there are. So Bilikisu Olatunji. I'm a data scientist and an R Shiny developer. I'm a certified R Studio instructor in Tidyverse and Shiny. So I'm also currently an R OpenSci champion. So I'm working on a project ChatKick HTML widgets. So it's a wrapper around the ChatKick.js JavaScript library. So it's been a long journey, but it's been very, very interesting learning R and using R on the project. So I'm also on the side a certified product owner and Scrum Master. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well as on Twitter. That's X. That's what we have now. So my goal today is to give you just enough motivation to embrace JavaScript knowledge to lighten your Shiny application. So disclaimer, I'm not an expert in JavaScript. I'm not a JavaScript developer. I'm an R Shiny developer. So comments and suggestions are welcome based on my presentation. So I'm going to share the little knowledge that I have developed over the few months that I've been using it, and I believe you'll benefit from it. So what is JavaScript? So from the MDN definition, JavaScript is a scripting language that enables you to create dynamically updating content, control multimedia, animate images, and pretty much everything else. So from what we have here, it's about interactivity. It's about creating something that is not static, moving away from HTML, using CSS, and now looking at how we can interact with the application that is created over the browser. So it's not just going to be something static. You just see the pictures, it's beautiful, it's there on the browser, but now we can interact with whatever we're seeing on the browser. So why would I want to go into JavaScript as an R Shiny developer? So JavaScript is actually executed on the client side, that's the browser, compared to what we have in Shiny. Shiny was built based on getting our environment into kind of the browser, the internet. So it's based on JavaScript packages, libraries like jQuery is part of what we have that is running behind Shiny. So working with JavaScript actually enhances what we have in Shiny. So it's more or less like going to the natural or the local language where Shiny is coming from. So with that, we'll be able to kind of tweak Shiny more. So Shiny can also be executed on the server side, which I'm not going to go into that today. So we can use the Node package to compose or combine your project into a format that can be shared or published in a certain way that, okay, is completely identifiable to whoever is maybe a front-end developer, a web developer, or a Shiny developer, whichever one we might want to go to. So I want to use that layman term to just try to pass the message to you. So JavaScript also gives us more options in designing the UI and UX, that's the interactivity of our Shiny app. So whatever we can do in Shiny, yeah, we can do everything without even knowing anything about JavaScript or HTML or CSS, but trying and taking that step forward to learn JavaScript will go a long way to help us to get something very, very unique outside of R. So JavaScript also provides enhanced levels of interactivity in our Shiny application. So JavaScript also moves us from having our business logic on the server side to the client side. So we're able to run the logic. We can take away the complete logic from our server side that we're looking at the input. Now we're rendering from the server, we're bringing everything to the browser instead of going back and forth from the UI to the server. So that's something that JavaScript would help us to kind of help improve our application. So with JavaScript, you have access to enormous collection of JavaScript libraries. Which one of the libraries is something that I'm actually tweaking now, and I'm really enjoying the journey so far. So how do I get started learning JavaScript? You don't need to know everything. That's what I would say. I'm smiling now because I've really gone through it. It's so scary running away from it, but I think it's worth it if you have to go into JavaScript, especially when you're looking at our Shiny development. So I'm learning by doing. I am not a master of it all. I don't know all about JavaScript, but I know enough to get my work going on well. And I'm also working pretty well on my first HTML widget. So hopefully I'll be able to move faster now. So one thing I also want to share here is that if you have to learn anything about JavaScript, from the basics of knowing just the variables which we are used to, creating functions and all this stuff, I think the really big thing that appeals to me in learning JavaScript is the document object model. So when I know how my application is actually built, what are the components in the UI, I'm able to talk to them, pick each element one by one, tweak them. I think that matters a lot to me. So that's why okay, I would want that, okay, no matter what we're looking at in the functions, callbacks, asynchronous, what to start little, taking that little step into JavaScript, I would emphasize on understanding DOM, that is the document object model. Try to understand it and get your fingers kind of dirty with it. So that's something that would really give you that pictorial enjoyment there. I enjoy it when I see something changing. I can see what I'm doing. I can tweak it. I can kind of do some magic around working with this before I really go into kind of technical aspects like the callback, the asynchronous, whatever. All these are kind of things that really scares one away. So if you can understand this, I believe you can really enjoy your journey moving forward. So another way you can also try to use JavaScript in an easy ways by connecting with it in R. So there are different ways that you can connect with JavaScript. You can actually get so many open free JavaScripts online that you can try to kind of bring into R, especially your Shiny application, work around with it and see how it affects your application. Then I think that would give you that boost to be able to kind of go more into, okay, maybe I can do more, maybe I can do more. So ways you can do that are, you can bring in a little bit of JavaScript, just that raw code in JavaScript, you can bring it into Shiny by just going into if you're familiar with Chinese development, I'm assuming we have some background knowledge there. So we can use the tags that's from the Chinese package. So we can use that kind of to kind of enclose our JavaScript to be able to work in Shiny. And I'm going to take you through some examples. If you're really not familiar with Java and with Shiny, then we'll look at what is actually running behind Shiny. Then you'll be able to see that actually learning JavaScript would help a lot. So because now you can see what is actually running behind the scene, and I can use another language where Shiny is actually coming from and use it to talk to the application and improve it more. So another way you can do that is just put the code also maybe through the script and put it in the AI. Instead of using the HTML function, you can put it directly as a script that is going to be placed in the head section of your Shiny application UI. Okay, so another way is that you can have it as an external file, then you bring it in using all this code. I'm going to take us through some examples. So why are we so particular about using JavaScript? There are so many ways we can really access data online. We are working with different data types. Some of these data types can come as JSON, okay? So these are things where you can actually tap into JavaScript and bring them raw into R. So communicating between JavaScript is actually based using all these JavaScript objects and variables, arrays, and all stuff. So we can work, kind of try to learn more about that, then we'll be able to see how we can bring it in. But don't worry, I have some examples that I want to share, and we can all look into it. So communication actually for Shiny, or we're looking at JavaScript, is not really a by kind of a dual direction. So it's JavaScript is actually seen as a synchronous script or code. It's not asynchronous. So, but there are ways that we can tweak this. But communication actually between JavaScript and R is both ways. So they help each other, and kind of the power of two makes it better. So the communication can either be through the WebSocket, which is actually something advanced, but I just want to mention that here. So there are ways that we can brand, kind of package the application that would help us to use much advanced maybe technology or terms or in JavaScript. But we're looking at kind of motivating ourselves. Let's get JavaScript into R more. Okay, so we can either send data from the client, that's from the browser, to our server, that's the Shiny server, the server aspect of our Shiny application, or we can send from the server side of our application, the Shiny, to JavaScript on the browser. So we have references here. So at this point, let me just take you to my R Studio, then I'll show you some examples where you can get some motivations of why I need to use this, or why would I want to use JavaScript. So kindly, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you have some comments you want to add, you can also place them there. Then we'll treat that at the end of the presentation. So thank you. Okay. So I hope you can see okay. Is there any question? Yeah, okay, I'll be sharing the reference links. There are so many links, there are so many resources out there. So, but I'll be sharing the slides, the links, everything. We're going to share it by email, and I hope you'll be able to learn something from there. So, the first thing that I would want to do, I will take you through, if you're not familiar with Shiny, I will take you through Shiny. I'll give an example. So it's easy for you to start with Shiny in R. So the only thing might be you need the package. That is the Shiny package. Sorry. Okay. So you can have the package there. So can run that. So, but there is a snippet that you can use to kind of create something skeletal that we can work with. So if you just type Shiny, if you have the package installed already, you should be able to see something like this. If you type Shiny, then just go to the second option, which says snippets. So it's going to give you the skeleton of your Shiny application. So this is just basically the Shiny application. If I save this, demo, so, and I run it, I'll have a blank page, okay? So I can decide to, okay, this is getting double. So I can decide to just put anything there, maybe H1. Hello. Okay. Okay, I'll answer the questions later. I'll get into the questions later. So thank you. Okay, so if I reload this application, you'll see something is there. Now you can see that I've typed in hello. It's an H1 header text in HTML. So if you're familiar with basic HTML, I'm not going to HTML and CSS today, but the most important thing is that, okay, I have a text in a browser now. Although you're not seeing the browser, but I would click on this icon that's saying show in a new window. So if I click on this, okay, so I'm having to open. Okay, so let me take you to the browser. Okay, so this is the browser now. I don't want to. So this is what I've created in RStudio that is based on Shiny application. So you have something here now. It's basically just like an HTML file that we have here. No formatting, no colors, nothing. So what we're going to do is that we want to inspect what is actually running behind this single page. So if you click on it, or you can right click if you're not familiar with web development, just right click, and you'll be able to see inspect. So if you have inspect here, sorry if you're still not familiar with this. So what we have here is actually supposed to be, sorry, okay, right, okay, sorry. A little bit here, okay. So here was supposed to have, okay, I don't know why I'm not, okay. Okay, yeah. Let me bring this down. Okay, so this is actually what is running behind the Shiny app that we just created, that single page. So what is going on behind the application is that you are creating something in R, but based on your application, it's now being translated into a language that the browser understands. So we have something different in R. We just typed in UI is equal to this and server is equal to this. But when we examine what is actually behind it, the code behind, okay, maybe I should go for that first. If I right click here again, then I want to view the page source. So I think this is better. Let's look at this. So this is actually the source that we're having in the browser now. There's no R code here. Everything has been translated back into HTML language, the language here. So we can see everything that is going on. So it's mostly like we're writing a simple HTML web page. So that is just what we have here. So if you have everything here, everything that you can see here is actually telling you how Shiny was created. Okay, the Shiny package, how it's running, what is powering it behind the scene. So if you look at this, we have so many files that I didn't put it there. So, but it's because of the Shiny package. So you can see we have jQuery here. So jQuery is kind of another 20, maybe brand of JavaScript or something. But right now, from my mentors and those who have learned a little bit of JavaScript from, you might not really need jQuery now. Learning basic vanilla JavaScript, it's okay. But if you want to go into jQuery, okay, I wouldn't say no. So, but I'm learning vanilla JavaScript and I'm being able to do a lot in my work. So for Shiny package, this is what is running behind. So we have the jQuery, the minified version. So we have Shiny CSS file, that's for the CSS aspect of it. Then we also have the minified JavaScript and Shiny JavaScript file. So that is also behind it. Everything is kind of combined inside the Java and the Shiny package. So then we have other files that you can see here. So all these are what is actually giving you what you can see in the browser. So with this now, you can see Shiny cannot do without talking to JavaScript. Although Shiny can help you do everything, talk to JavaScript, do everything you want to do with JavaScript, whatever, without knowing it. So, but knowing the natural language, is kind of good. Good, I can say that, and I'm enjoying that now. So, um, okay, I'm going to answer the questions, but let's go into this. Then you have all the questions, and I will reply to them. Okay, so coming back to the app that we've created, if I go into the console or I want to see anything here, I don't let's just go back to our studio. I don't want to kind of confuse you, so let's go back to our studio, and then I would show some things that we can do with JavaScript, and I'll take you back to the browser. Then we'll be able to see everything. So coming back to our studio now, we are on the demo app that we created. So what we have here is not even like 25% of what we've seen running behind the application that we've created. So Shiny is actually making life easy for us, but there's nothing bad in trying to jump higher. So I think that is what we need now. So by learning JavaScript. So the next thing will be that, okay, what can I do with JavaScript here? If I can create HTML code here, then from what we've seen in the slide, I can bring in JavaScript through the DOM. That's the document object model. I'm going to show you an example. There are some languages or maybe some terms and functions that you can use there. For any web application, especially the HTML file that you first interacting with, the first thing you have to know is that there are components of this page. So that is what you have to start with first. Let me understand what is actually on this page. So for this function, this is how you can get, there are some kind of things you have to understand in Shiny as well for you to know where, what, and what is coming into your kind of application. So H1 is actually this. The function is actually helping you to create an H1 element that you see in your normal web page. So that is done for you here in Shiny or R using that function H1 with the brackets following it. So that is what we've been able to do here. And inside it, basically what you can just put in is the text that you want displayed. So, and if you want to go further, you can decide to now say, okay, I want to give it an ID, just like what we do in the HTML file. You can put the comma here and give it an ID equal to this. So my hello. Okay. So with this, you're giving it a unique identification that, okay, even if I have more than one H1 tag or maybe H1 element, it's not going to be an issue for me to interact with it. So I can decide to say hi here. So and add as many as I want. Okay. So with this, I can now bring in Shiny and JavaScript. Sorry, I can bring in JavaScript. I can decide to add some other elements like the classes that we have in our normal web development or web design in HTML, CSS. So I can decide to give it anything, just anything. So I can be an hello class or something. You can give it anything you want. So these are things that will help you to ease your way into interacting with that element using JavaScript. So like I highlighted in the slide that, okay, what we are trying to achieve is we are trying to enhance what Shiny has made easy for us by trying to learn the local language. It's more or less like me trying to communicate with an Igbo person. We can communicate. Igbo is actually a local language here, one of the three popular languages here. We have the Yorubas, Hausa, Igbo. So I'm a Yoruba person. If I want to communicate with an Igbo person, we can communicate using English. Okay. So, but it would be better. You'll see a smile on their face if I speak that language. The little I know, okay, if I use that, I think I'll get comfort, trust, kind of in communicating with them more. So that is where we're bringing out JavaScript into Shiny. Yes, Shiny has been able to create something simple for us, but I want to be able to do more by learning JavaScript. So I'll go into the examples that I have here. For you to be able to use JavaScript, it's not difficult. Just like what we did with the tags, all you have to do here is we have the tags. It's more or less like a combination, like the tidyverse, a combination of functions that you can use within your Shiny application. So if I use this, if I decide to put in the tags, okay, so I can still say head. So if you're familiar, no, go back. No, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, sorry, please. Let me just, I'm going to resume recording. Okay, so with what we've gone through so far, what we can do is that for you to be able to interact with JavaScript without bringing an external file, you can use the tags. The tags is like if you go into your console, put the question mark there and tags, so you'll get the documentation on this. So is kind of helper functions that comes with it that helps you to interact with the web. That's just what I would say. So you can look at the documentation and get to learn more about this. And I think you can do that by starting to learn Shiny or improving your Shiny. So for that, we can always use the tags. Okay, so we can, using the $sign, you can access all the functions that comes with it. So it's more or less like a package containing so many functions like we used to in our dplyr, tidyverse, and stuff. So here we can use the head. Basically here, this is where you want to put your scripts, just like you would do in a web development. You can put it in the head or in the body. That's your JavaScript. You can put it, either you want to put it in the head, but you have to know the reason why you put it in there, or you want to put it in the body, which is actually much more encouraged, so that if your elements are there, your code can actually access them. So these are basically what you have to have at the back of your mind, but it's not that scary anymore, but you just give it that leap and go into it. So if you're not putting it in the head, you just want to go straight for it, you can do this. Then you go for the script. So within this script, try and just keep your stuff as an HTML stuff that you want Shiny to understand. So that's what I would always follow. So with that, you can see the example that I have here. What I want to do is actually, I have this application here, a simple one. So with this, what I just have here is basically the first, if you create a Shiny app, you have a template that comes with it. So this is actually what I have there. So if I take out this is the only thing that is different. So the tag, I'm taking it out now, and I run this, you'll see, okay, save it. So the old faithful Gazer data that is being displayed in the Shiny application. So, but this also is something that I can interact with. I can decide to change the colors of the old faithful or change even the text that is inside without having to go into the server side of my application. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So what I did is that if I look at this in the browser, let's view the page source before we go into that one. So if we look at it here, the old faithful is actually an H2 element. So what I want to do first is I want to get access to what we have here. So for any HTML file that you're working with, the mother of everything there is the window, because window is the browser. So it's kind of the top level of what you have in your HTML file. So from there, you get into the HTML component of it, and down you see the tree, like kind of decorate or kind of display of how those things are connected together. So I would want you to go more into that, but I don't want to teach JavaScript here, but I'm going to just show examples. That's just it. So for the first thing that we have here, the H2, I want to deal with that. I want to interact with it. So I'm going to close this. So I'm going back into my Shiny application. So the first thing that I did was that, okay, tags, the script. So with the HTML, it has to be in capital letter. So this, okay, yeah. Okay. So with this now, any web page that you're seeing out there, if you go into JavaScript, it's a document. So you can either say window dot document, but basically you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Just, we already know it's a window, but let's go straight to what we want to deal with. So for you to access any of the elements in your web page, the basic thing that you have to do is go through the document. Then you'll be able to nest through all the child elements that are within the document itself. So any script that you're going to run in Shiny, make sure you put it in the quote inside these functions. So you can start with document. I don't want to take much of our time. Let me just go into the examples. So here, what I'm just doing is this. I'm asking the JavaScript to help me query my web page. That's the layman's term that I will say. Search through my web page and get me an H2 element that is on the page. So it can be multiple of H2 elements, but I'm not going to deal with that. There's a way you can access all those. So, but you're going to have something like a list of everything that is H2 on your web page. But right now, I know there is only one that I have. So what I want to do now is that what is inside there, I want to actually it can be the inner text. So let me just make it inner text. So like I said, I'm learning too. So it can either be inner HTML, that's actually the HTML tag that is within it. That's what we want to change, but I don't want to change that. I want to do the text. So I hope I actually did that well. Then also what I need to do here is the color. So it's kind of black, it's boring. So I want to change it to blue. And also the body, the background of the body of my web page, I want to change it to green. So that is what I want to do here. So let me see if I got everything well. I'm not sure of this. So let me just, live coding, let's keep our fingers crossed. So, okay, here, good. I got that right. So now you can see that now what I did was that, okay, I've been able to use this function, that's the document. I queried it to get this, using the query selector. You can also say get element by name, by tag name, whatever, by ID. You can use that as well. So, but all these are things that there are instances where you can use them and you'll go smoothly. There are some instances where it might be kind of tricky. So I want to stay with the query selector. So it's helping me now to access this, and I'm changing it from old faithful Geyser data to Hello World. So that's what is being done here. I don't have to go through the server, because right now, if I'm going to hard code into this, I'll have to change it. But right now, I'm making all those changes in the browser. In my browser now. I can do that on the fly if I go into the browser itself, try to trick it and see how to structure my Shiny application and come back into R Studio and make all those changes. But I'm able to see it live if only I can understand a little bit of JavaScript. So I'm able to tweak all this, then come back into Shiny and make those changes. If it's something that I can still do within Shiny, but if not, then I'll have to get to big brother JavaScript to help me. So this is what I've done here. So I've been able to change the text from old faithful gazer to hello world. So I'm also able to change the color of the text. So I also change the background from just white now to green. So I can decide to also change the color of the font, the text on my browser as well. So these are some of the things that you can do here. So, but I will go further by showing you how to actually get data from the client side, that's from the browser. Then we're sending it to the server. These are some of the things that is helpful. It helps with the interaction with your application by the users. Then it's also a way of you taking off the load from the server to the browser and also from the browser to the server as much as you want to explain that. So in our Shiny, JavaScript has a function like kind of a handler that we want to say that we can use when we want to kind of communicate back from the browser to the server side. So if we're looking at Shiny on its own, we have the input, we render it, we'll go back to the server, then we'll come back to the UI where we have the outputs and the UI output, whichever one you want to have there. So, but I'm just going to kind of use the layman's term so I don't get you overwhelmed with too many grammars or technical stuff. So, working with data in R, when you're working that, okay, we want to communicate using JavaScript, we want to connect with JavaScript. Like when I was working with the HTML widgets, I really learned a lot, especially from the Natalie's, and there's so many from John, the JavaScript for R and all this stuff, all those books, they really in JavaScript with R. So you have to work with data. You have to work with data, and this is very, very critical. If you're going to work well, creating Shiny apps, you need to know how to communicate back and forth using JavaScript and R. So if you're looking at the collecting data from the client side, then you have to understand how to get your data there. There are some functions or maybe handlers that you wouldn't see in Shiny ordinarily, but they are there to help you. Sorry, please kindly mute yourself. Okay. Okay. So if you want to communicate, send data from the client side, let's say you've created your the UI using HTML tags, and you don't actually want to use the Shiny controls or the Shiny widgets. You are using this. So what I've done here is that I've used a tag from the normal HTML. I've brought it into Shiny. So this is actually collecting a text, and I've given it an ID. Okay, an ID that is for the first name. So if I take any Shiny, any HTML tag and bring it into Shiny, I can use this function actually to get back what would actually be understood by Shiny or R back into the Shiny application. So if I bring this code, I copy it here and I run it, you'll see I'm still going to get back what I'm going to see in the web browser or an HTML page. So that's just what, but it's just for us to be able to have it in a format that Shiny will be able to interpret. That's basically how I would explain that. So this now is going to take the first name. I can put my first name there. So, but for me to send it back to the Shiny server, the server side of our Shiny application, I need to use a handler that is also in JavaScript. So that is what I'm going to put instead of just assessing the elements. So you can use query select or get element by ID or something. That is a choice. But in this situation, I'm not using the query selector. I'm using get element by ID. So I believe you'll get to understand if you dive into JavaScript. So this is going to get me this HTML tag. The content of it is what I want to access. And I'm using the ID, the unique ID that is already assigned to it. So with this, I'll be able to kind of use that. The dot notation is for you to access a function. And adding an event listener is something you would get to understand in JavaScript. It's more or less like you want to interact with that tag. So, and you're asking your web application to kind of look out for something that is going to happen inside that tag. So, and if that happens, I want you to take that change. So using this function, I will get the data. So the data now is going to be this name. This dot value is actually referring to what we are already targeting here. I don't want to use too much time, but it's actually referring to what we are assessing here first. So like in R, if you are using the pipe and maybe you've already nested so many stages of your maybe analysis, you might want to refer to your maybe your data frame using the dot notation or something. So that is basically what we're doing here, this dot value. So we're referring back to what we already have here. So whatever value that is inside of this, we've taken it, passing it to this function or handler that is going to send it to our server, our Shiny server, Shiny application server. So the server side of our Shiny application. So from there, we can now use the input notation, that is the input $sign to access it like a normal UI input. Okay, like a normal text input that we're putting into our Shiny application. So with that, you can use the name that was assigned here inside this function or the handler with the value to access the value. So this is now going to give you back the data that we have here. So I'm not creating any any UI input or outputs, no text input, nothing that is I have to render again. So I don't need that. But what I need is just the HTML tag that is running on the browser. Don't bring it into Shiny. Just it's running on the browser, but I can easily call it, add an event listener to get me whatever is happening there and send it to the server on the Shiny side. So that's where we're referring to R now. So with this one, I'm able to get this. So let me just run this. These are codes that I would share later. Then you can play around with it, then can motivate you to kind of go more into R. So let me just put my name there, Bilikisu. Okay. So with this, so it's clicking enter. I don't have a button here. So just a normal example from what I've learned so far. So you can get back. Now, what we've done is that it has taken the value inside this text, the input text that we have here, and sent it to the server, that's the Shiny server side. Now it's now using it to populate the verbatim text output that we created using Shiny notation. So this is not on the typical client side. So this is on the Shiny application. So we're now talking to Shiny from JavaScript by passing in the data that we want to put, display in Shiny application, which is eventually going to be a web application. So that is basically a simple way of interacting with that. You can also pass in more complex data like an array or an object, JavaScript object as well. So that can also be passed. I'll show you an example of that as well. So this is a simple example of how you can pass it. Just make sure you use this handler, pass it into the function. Okay, sorry for that. So we can pass into the function. If you're familiar with JavaScript functions, adding event handler. So this is just the basic function that we have there, that we have in JavaScript. So it's not something complex. It's not, if it's going to be a function that is more than this, then it might be in an external file. So I'll show you another one that I did as well. So we don't have to take much of our time here. So this is actually running JavaScript within the Shiny application. So let me go to the next example. I'll stop this. So this one is actually for you to take data from Shiny server side and pass it to the client side. So these are functions that you should kind of get familiar with. But it's a simple example, but I'll show you more from what I've learned so far. So this, for you to pass in data from the server side, instead of using the shiny.onInput change, you're going to use shiny.addCustomMessageHandler. Okay? So it's more or less like the handlers or the listeners on the JavaScript side as well. So that's why it's still from the JavaScript. So this helps you to accept data that is coming from the server side from Shiny, that's from R, into the client side. So and you'll be able to use it there to the normal alerts function in JavaScript. That is what we're using here. So it's a simple example. So what we're also accepting is the first name, is the input. Okay. So then we're saying enter your first name. Okay. So, but here now, what we're looking at is that we want to accept whatever is here, send it to the server, and the server gives us another information that we're now going to have in our alerts. That is a pop-up. So that's what we're doing now. So here we'll put in the first name, click the button, then we'll come to the server side of the Shiny. Here, this is where we're now going to use the session function, that is send custom message. So we've already accepted the message from the JavaScript side. Now we're asking Shiny, take this information, but you're also going to send us something back. Okay? So the information is already on Shiny. This is a Shiny text input. It's not from the HTML, normal HTML. The other one that we used is actually an HTML tag, but this is, we are still on Shiny, but we're not trying to send something to the browser. So we take this, we can easily access this. So just the normal way that we're looking at, so you can see it's here. So we'll take the first name, we accept that, that's from our Shiny application. We'll click the button, we accept this, then we send a kind of custom message, just more than what we have as the first name. So it's just going to say, hello, I'm Bilikisu. That's if I hand type Bilikisu, thank you. So this is just combined here. It can be more than this. It can be a data frame that is going to be converted into a list, like what we do when we're creating HTML widgets, because the notation or what the type of data that is collected by each side is different. So if we have arrays, JSON, JavaScript objects on the JavaScript side, then on our own side, the R side, we're having lists, we have data frame. All these are something that we have to look for a way of communicating and sending it back. So if JavaScript is going to send us JSON or just ordinary text, we would accept it as list, convert it and manipulate it in any way we want to do that. So this is going to be sent to the scripting, the client side now. So let me put in my name, my middle name. So I'll submit this. So it's going to show, hello, Amumi, thank you. So I click OK, and that goes away. All this now, we've taken the work off the server and we are on the browser interacting. So all this can still be viewed in the browser. So now let me show you another way. It's not just a text or maybe a single word, the first name or something. I want to show kind of a simple object, JavaScript object that we can also send from the client side to the server side. So here I'm going to accept an object that is going to contain the first name and also the last name. So that's what I have here. So both, sorry, my RStudio is freezing up. So give me time. Okay. Okay. While my laptop, okay, it's back on. Okay. So let me just quickly go through these examples, then I'll take the questions. So here I'm trying to pass a JavaScript object. It's not a JSON object. It's not a JSON file or a data, but it's just a JavaScript object. So whatever is coming in, R is going to accept it as a list. It's going to come in as a list. So if I'm going to run this, what I did was, okay, I'm going to accept it as a list. That is what is happening here. So whatever you have, just know that you're going to get it as a list. So, but you can now decide to change whatever is coming in into a better format that you want it. So if I click this button, it's going to send in the values that are in the objects from the JavaScript side to my server. So that's what I'm going to display on the verbatim text output. So this is actually interesting because I don't need to stay within Shiny to be able to do everything. I can do whatever I want on the browser, achieve everything, and still be okay. But I can't do that without knowing JavaScript. So I have a complete example of a JavaScript file. Is a game, is like a quiz where you get to answer it, but none of this is happening from the server side. It's going to happen from the client side. So let me look for this. Okay, this is it. So I'm going to share my code. I'm going to share the code. You can look at it and share your own understanding of it. It can be improved, but it's just something to demonstrate what R and JavaScript can achieve in collaboration, maybe collaborating together. So what I did here is that I took an example from the web developers side. That's those who are using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So it's a quiz. I have the HTML tag here. That's the code from the HTML side. So everything is now embedded into my Shiny application or file. So it's all in here. It's going to be translated by Shiny package. So I have my CSS file as well. All these external files are placed inside the www folder where I don't need to reference the folder name. I just need to tell Shiny, this is the file name. Except you're having a nested folder in the www folder. That's the only reason why you have to reference another folder name. So with this, I've been able to use the tag for the link to get that file to be accessed within Shiny. Then also I have the tag for the script. So this is where everything is going to be automated, kind of run from JavaScript instead of from the server. If you look at my server function, nothing is there. Nothing is there, nothing is showing there. I have nothing there. So everything is based inside the JavaScript. So all these functions are going to be run in the browser. There's no drag time or something. Everything is going to run within the browser. So the only thing is that all these tags, the code is too much for me to just push into the Shiny page, just one document. But it makes sense for me to put it in an external file where it can be accessed. The same thing goes with the CSS file. Everything is here. So I don't need to have everything pushed into, okay, I've closed it. I don't have to have everything there in my Shiny file or my R file. So with this now, if I run this application, I'll take it to the browser. So we have it here. So here I can click on, look at all this. It's just a simple example of a JavaScript application, a JavaScript that is running on the browser without going to the server side. So this is so simple. It's something we can always get easily. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me share the. So this is something that is kind of interesting to me. I have a package that I've done, an HTML widget, a package like a wrapper around a JavaScript, package library for charting, for visualization. It's been an interesting journey, and I have really learned a lot while working on the documents. Right now, I've moved from just ordinary arrays, using an array that can be translated into simple list here in R, to nested data frames and all this stuff. So it's about understanding how the data that is coming from the client side, the browser, how is it coming in, translate it into a JSON-like or a list-like on our side here, or a data frame using the JSON-like package. I will demonstrate this next week during the creating your own HTML widget. So I hope you'll be able to join me then. But this is actually what I want to showcase for the JavaScript. I'm not here to teach you, but I'm here to kind of show some beautiful things that I've been able to learn along the way. And the complexity of working with JavaScript, put that on the side first. Enjoy the interesting part by learning the little bits, especially with the UI, getting simple data to getting much more bigger data like JSON object and JavaScript object to JSON. All these are possible within R. So at this point, I want to kind of give you the time to ask the questions that you want. I hope I've been able to show you some of the examples that will motivate you to use JavaScript. I'm not a master, but I'm still learning, and I hope to continue to learn more. So if you have any comment or addition that you want to add, I would have time to take that now. I'll stop the examples so that we can move to our local functionality that, okay, try to go and meet some people there. So let me look at the questions that I have here. I hope I'll be able to answer them from my little knowledge. I'll see what I can do here. Okay. Okay. So, okay, I'm not really okay. The WebSocket is something beyond this. It's actually um hello. Then I drop the phone. I'm actually talking, and the person on the other side is able to hear me. So that's basically what we're looking at, a WebSocket. When like a chatting application, you can use web. That's where a case where you can use the WebSocket. So it's actually it enables bi-directional two-way communication, like the phone call or chatting. Maybe we're chatting now live. You're able to see what I sent, like what we're doing in the chats now. I can send you a message, you get it immediately. That's the layman stuff. I don't want to use too much grammar. I'm still learning as well. So, but if you have better explanation for that, I think I would love to hear that. So, let me look through what other questions do I have here. Okay. To appreciate it, you would have to know the bit. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Somebody is asking what's the difference between small letter HTML? No, no, no. Come on. Okay, go use the second toilet. Bye. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the difference between the small letter HTML and the capital letter HTML. The capital letter HTML in Shiny is a function that comes within the tags kind of package. That's what I will use to kind of give the explanation. HTML, the small HTML is lowercase HTML. It's for the normal web HTML that we use outside of R. That's just what I would say. Outside of R. That's it. That's it. So thank you, Victor. So, okay, it's a tag. Yeah, well, later is function. Yes. Okay, got it. Thank you. JavaScript is case sensitive. Yeah, it is. JavaScript is case sensitive, but that's not something to chase you away. We also have our own issue with R. So there are some cases you cannot use, create a variable name here as a lowercase letter and you're referring to it as a uppercase letter. No, it's not going to work. It's going to tell you that you can't see the object. So can we use HTML interchangeably? No, 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 you can't. In R, you cannot. Thank you, Victor, so much. So actually, the shiny dots, yeah, the handler is actually from within JavaScript. It's from within JavaScript. Okay, so it's a functional handler from Java in JavaScript for Shiny to interact with Shiny. So that's basically what I can explain for now. So thank you, Marilyn. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. I think I have some people in here that I want to give a shout out to. Toyin Ola. I think I'm learning from you. I don't know if you have any comments that you want to. Thank you for the shout out. Thank you so much. So if you have comments, what you can tell us where we can get more information. I'm going to share where I get my own information, especially working with JavaScript in R. It's not really easy. It's not something I can just say, okay, today I get it. No, it's something that will give it some time. And that's why I'm telling you the interesting aspect of it, understanding the DOM. understanding the DOM will make you to tweak a lot of things, so many things, so many things. Okay, if you're getting so bored with the technical aspects, with covers, all this, yeah. Okay, the promises, all these are things that you can just step back and play around with the DOM, and you kind of go back again. I think that's basically it. Then also, if you want to try your hands on maybe any package or library, JavaScript library, I think it's something worth it. It's worth it, and I enjoyed it, and I'm still enjoying it. So maybe I can show you some of the things that you can check out my. Okay, go ahead, Victor.
Good evening, Bilikisu. Good evening,
Good
everybody.
Good
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you so
you.
much for this wonderful presentation. It's been
Thank you.
a real challenge, for to us. I wanted to just make a comment, for those of us who are maybe not too familiar with JavaScript. I want to I don't want us to feel maybe discouraged or maybe overwhelmed by the kind of material that's being presented here. It is very important for us to know some of these technologies as data scientists. It's very, very important. Let's not think that just because we're not talking just about data frames and statistical concepts, we should overlook this one. Because the world we're in now, if you are going to even communicate your data, you have to be able to know some of these things. Even if you're using R Markdown, for instance, or you're trying to develop Equator documents, many times you have to resort to using HTML. So I want to encourage us all. Let us try to learn HTML, learn CSS, and learn, even if it's just a little bit of JavaScript, to help us a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really love that, Victor. Thank you so much. Just like Victor said, part of this, I just don't want to take much of our time, but an example of this is if you're pulling data from JavaScript, you're going to get it as a list, basically in R. So you can decide to tweak it in so many ways. Like the comments that I have here, I commented this out. So if you have this, let me just comment this out. You can bring it into your Shiny application. What you'll see here is this. Let me just get the class. So let's pass out the class for this. Okay, sorry, let me stop the other. I'm going to run this. So what we're having here, it's a list. So what we're getting here, we're passing in a JavaScript object, and we're getting it as a list in R. So we know, we are all our developers. We know how we can tweak all these things and kind of change them. And that's the experience that I've gotten while working on an HTML widget. They are working with so many objects. It can come in the form of an array. It can be a text. It can be a nested object. So which can result into nested data frame here in R. So these are things that actually is really interesting and challenging. But for me to even get it out, it's made me to learn a lot. So I love to go through challenges, although I can sweat, I can wipe out this stuff, but it's worth it. It's a worthwhile experience. So if you have something like this as a list, we know what we can do with it. We can maybe go ahead and convert it to maybe a a data frame. I did that, so I can send it into a reactive object like this. It's just something raw that I can do. So this is an example. If I take out these comments, you'll get it back as a data frame. So I click on this. So you see it's the data frame that is showing in the verbatim output. So it's something interesting. Just give it a try. You'll get a lot of help. Especially I wouldn't want to say, okay, yes, Chat GPT helped a lot, But if you go to Slack Overflow, you'll get a lot of helps there. So many people there ready to help you. So if you kind of want to be so smarter than ChatGPT, it will help you as well, because it's also learning from you. So that is something that we can always be tweaking and can change into a string if you want. So this is something that there's a lot of opportunities here. So if I want to kind of, combine the two, I'll change that again. If I click the button, so I'll get it as a string. So the opportunities are there. So I don't want you to kind of run away. Don't run away like I did. I ran away from it for so many times, but now I'm enjoying the journey. I'm not stopping, and I believe you will enjoy it as well. Just take the little step. That's what I will tell anyone. Take the little step, get into it, because a lot is being done with JavaScript now. And JavaScript is something that we can use the data science. A lot is going on. So there's nothing, you're not losing, you're even gaining more. That's just what I would say. So okay, Victor said yes. JavaScript terrorizes me as well. I ran and ran, but I got back to it, and I think we're friends now. I'm even taking courses on JavaScript. I'm learning more. I don't even mind being a web developer there, but one thing is the opportunity is getting bigger. JavaScript, you can use it for data science now. So I think I've been able to do justice to my goal today by trying to motivate you, showing you examples of what you can do. This is not the end, especially with the WebSocket, Webpack. There's so much there, but that is, just put that one aside. Let's get to even interact with data first. That's my area. I want you to interact with data, communicate with take the load off the server a little bit, and let's do some more interesting things on the browser and the client side before we can call up onto the server side to help and support us. So thank you. So are there any other questions? More questions?
Yes,
Comments?
I have a question.
Thank you.
Again, sorry, I want to be sure.
Yes, sir.
Are you saying that
Okay.
when you're using Shiny, like you've done, like you showed us here, you don't need a JSON parser to collect data from JavaScript, or it just takes it directly all the time. You never run into any problems.
One thing is, okay, if I get you well, if you're bringing in
What I mean
data
is,
into
what I mean is to be specific, we have libraries like JSON-Lite and RJSON that help us to parse JSON.
yeah,
Okay, business files.
yes.
So if you want to bring in a JSON object into Shiny, you don't need to use those libraries, or you take it directly.
No, you need them. But at this stage, I don't need so much. When I'm working with maybe when I'm working with complex data, like maybe JSON, nested JSON, nested, when we're talking nested, we can bring in JSON-Lite. I can decide to use it now. Even for now, I can use it to convert my list to a data frame, but in whatever you're getting, where I would say JSON will come in for me, like let me share the project with you. I can take out the raw JSON object or JavaScript object, bring it into R, and JSON-Lite will change it the functions are to and from JSON. So if let me show you an example of what I've been able to do that. Okay, let's go to okay, let me stop this. okay, like this is my repo for the shiny, then the HTML widget that I'm working on. So what I did is this. I took most of the examples that you see here. I'm using the JSON Lite package. Can you see?
Yes, I can see.
Yeah. So I took the raw JSON object. It can be an array, nested array. It can be a JavaScript object. All these are things that JSON can help me. And it's really helped me in understanding the structure of the data. So if I get it into R using the JSON library and the JSON Lite library, using those functions, I'm able to understand the kind of data that is coming in, either metrics or whatever. Then I'll be able to translate it and create handlers, maybe like functions that would help me to handle different types of data set that is coming in. And I think with the power of this, I've been able to kind of dig deep into different structures of data that is coming from JavaScript. So I've been able to do a lot. You can check out the progress I've made. I've really been able to do a lot with learning JavaScript. And you can see it's JSON that I've used to translate most of the data into R data structure, like data frame. I brought it in and it got into list. From the list, I turned it into a data frame. So because what the HTML widgets package or the functions there is going to take is either you're passing in a list or a data frame. So then from the functions that the data frame to D3, so the D8 or something. So that function takes in the data frame or the list. So that's going to help you to translate it into a language that you use to communicate with JavaScript again. So it's more or less like a two-way communication. So you need all this. And also there's another package as well. JSON, let me see. Yeah, JSON normalize. So I got this from a good friend on Slack Overflow. So I was able to use that. If the raw JavaScript object is not something that JSON Lite can translate, this helps you to normalize, putting it in a format that JSON Lite functions will be able to work with. So it's really an interesting journey, but you cannot master everything in JavaScript. You can't, but you can get the little that you need to do your job. You can get the little that you need to do your job. That's what I would say. And I read an article that is part of the references that I have there, that even the author of, I've forgotten his name, author of data.table package, he actually confessed that he knew little of JavaScript before he was assigned by RStudio to create that package. So that's why I said on this slide that, okay, learn by doing. You learn by doing. You can't, it's boring when you say, okay, I want to learn JavaScript. No, just create a project, try your hands on something simple, then it's going to be much more fun. I love pictures. I love to see things. I hate reading and cramming. I'll slip off. So I'm going to slip off. So that's just it. So any other questions, comments before go meet and greet? Yeah. So if there are no more questions, I think I'm going to kind of round it up today. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Victor. Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you, everybody. I think at this junction, I want to say a big thank you to everybody that joined us today. So I'm looking forward to meeting you next week, where we'll look at creating an HTML widget online as well. So it's not going to be in person only. It's going to be online. So thank you very much. I look forward to meeting you next week. So it's goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.